Hello everyone, thanks for watching. We're looking down at the southwestern United States here, kind of cutting off the northwest states here, but this is our low pressure system situated kind of right over Nevada there. You can see the kind of spiraling rain bands curling up there into Nevada. This is starting to kind of exit the area a little bit. We still have some rainfall to talk about here, I think, associated with this. If you look down near the Salton Sea, the kind of border between Southern California and Arizona, see some of the rain showers here, the clouds associated with those trying to push into far southeastern California. We're talking the Imperial County area, eventually getting into, I think, southern Arizona, south central Arizona, and eventually all over the whole state here tonight with potentially snow, rainfall as well. So we still have that to talk about. Further north up into parts of Idaho, just kind of at the top of the loop here, there's some snow showers starting to spread over the area here as well. But for the most part, this is going to continue to push its way east. We've talked so far, not this year anymore, but the end of last year, about how the Northwest has had a deficit of precip despite having a lot of these kind of wet but lighter systems come through. And then California, certainly coastal California, perhaps the Central Valley of California, has had a lot of rainfall and storm systems to talk about, but we're still running a deficit on Sierra snowfall. In fact, if you kind of go to any mountainous basin across the entire western U.S., we're kind of getting to the point now where we're running a deficit, or we're below average there as well. So we'll talk about all that, get into the forecast here. We did get some snowfall through the Sierra Nevadas just over the last kind of 24 hours here. We have winter storm warnings active currently across the Sierra Nevadas. Most of that snowfall is just about kind of done here. Some lingering flakes falling. Perhaps we'll get a few more inches here if we're lucky, but much of that already falling. We're kind of waiting till that next system, getting out into the forecast. We'll get to that. Won't talk about that right now, but certainly in a few slides here. I do want to take a closer look at the radar image here. If we look across the Central Valley, at least the San Joaquin Valley, California here, just some light, kind of what we'll call backside showers here. Nothing, too significant enough to bring a little bit of rain through. Nothing, I don't think is going to be too substantial in terms of a measurable amount. I would not be surprised if some, sparse locations here get wet through the day today here, just past about 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. There's that rain system. The rain showers moving through Southern California. So, the El Centro area is recording rainfall falling at this time in terms of observation. That's going to continue to overspread the lower Colorado River Valley here as we go through the afternoon. Eventually that's going to move into south central and really much of Arizona here tonight in the form of snowfall and some of the higher mountainous regions here. If we go a little bit further north, kind of take a more broad view of the northwestern United States, you can see some snow showers here, just these light returns on radar trying to push up into the Snake River Valley, at least in southwestern Idaho, maybe far eastern Oregon there, and some lingering showers here pushing through the northwest or the Pacific Northwest here, associated with something of a separate system. We'll talk about that in just a second here. Something we've talked about this year is the Sierra Nevadas. We've had systems, we've had these kind of cut-off low-pressure systems. They haven't been great at producing snowfall in the Sierra Nevadas and some of these higher elevations. And if we jump over to the Sierra Snow Lab, this is just kind of near Donner Pass, the Lake Tahoe area. This is their kind of average annual accrual of snow water equivalent here, or this snowfall more specifically over the water year. That's what that blue line is. We're here in the red line. We're essentially kind of off the graph in terms of the quantiles that they have lifted here. If you look really closely, this might not be super visible, on the video here, but some of the snowfall we've had just in the last 24 hours has got us kind of back onto the graph here. Fortunately, it's going to take more of those events even to get us back toward normal. It's not going to happen all at once, fortunately, and that's probably a good thing because that would be quite a bit of snow in a short period of time. If we look at the top of the graphic here, you can go and see the 24-hour snowfall here, so 11 inches of snowfall. That's not nothing. It's enough to get us kind of back onto the graph. A few more of these events is going to get us a lot closer to normal, but not a ton of snowfall kind of in the grand scheme of things this water year. The kind of good news is it's still early, right? It's only January 3rd. We have a number, I'd say, our two busiest months to go where we could make up a lot of that, get back to average, or even potentially go above average depending on what the rest of the late winter and spring looks like. We really don't shut off that fire hose until we get into April, and you can see that kind of curve, average curve kind of level off as we get into kind of the middle and late springtime. So plenty of time to go. Is it a concern? At this point, I'd say yes, just because we have such a ways to go to get back toward normal. Is it a huge concern yet in terms of talking about next year and how much water is going to be available? In the grand scheme of things, it's kind of a wait and see at this point. I think certainly the El Nino background state helps. I would say El Nino probably playing a role in giving a lot of these systems through parts of California, through Southern California. We'll have to wait and see if we can get some more substantial snowfall into the Sierra Nevadas and some of these other regions. And I'm kind of picking on the central Sierras here, but through the southern Sierras, we're running deficits 30%, 37% of our typical year-to-date or water year-to-date snowfall totals at this time. If you go up to the northern Sierras, same kind of picture, and then all the way up through the Cascades, through parts of the Idaho, Salmon River Mountains, even across the Colorado River Basin now in terms of that snow water equivalent, at least compared to where we typically are at this date on average. We're running below average for this time of the year, so you have to get really picky in parts of Utah here to find somebody close to average. So any kind of snowfall in the forecast, I think, for some of these mountainous regions is good news. Keep that in mind as I talk about the next 7 or 10 days and what we're watching for. Jump quickly over here. I want to take a broad view of the satellite picture across the Northeast Pacific, parts of the western United States here. Here's that low pressure system we just talked about. Right now there's a very potent low pressure system here up over in the Aleutians, the jet stream kind of careening through here in the Northeast Pacific. And I think that's going to be the big kind of weather maker, particularly for the Northwest as we talk about the next 5 to 7 day forecast here. That's going to focus some storm systems and low pressure systems more up here, more in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest than we've had of late, at least over the last 14, 25 days or so. And I want to walk you through that quickly here. This is the current precipitation forecast from the ECMWF, valid as of Wednesday afternoon. We just kind of walked through all the different areas that had rainfall on the radar. There's those rain showers moving through parts of Southern California, those light rain showers just kind of sneaking through the San Joaquin Valley, some of the snowfall trying to push up into southwestern Idaho, and those rain showers pushing through the Pacific Northwest. That system kind of leaves the area as we go in overnight tonight, exits out toward northeast Arizona, bringing that rainfall we talked about through south central, southeastern Arizona. As we go into the day tomorrow on Thursday, we have one of these quick hitting systems move through the Pacific Northwest, bringing a little bit more precipitation there, perhaps some snowfall in the upper elevations, including parts of south central Idaho here and some of the mountainous regions there. Not anything too significant. I think we have to wait out till Saturday until we get more of a significant low pressure system coming through that. I'll show you that here. We're Saturday morning. Now we're talking more substantial rainfall values in parts of the Willamette Valley. Lower snowfall levels as well into the Cascades, looking like some more substantial snowfall moving into areas there. As we walk that through, that system actually kind of coming in that northwest to southeast trajectory. These tend to be a little bit cooler systems, and expecting another good shot of snowfall for the Sierra Nevadas out of this one as well, including some of these Intermountain West regions in terms of snowfall. So more potent system coming through on Saturday, potentially getting all the way through Southern California in terms of some measurable precipitation. It doesn't look like the most particularly strongest precipitation amounts forecasted here for Southern California here overnight Saturday into Sunday morning. But perhaps something to write home about, and then potentially more rainfall moving through parts of southwest Arizona, maybe even southeast California. As we look even beyond that out into next week, it's looking like there is some potential for another system to come through the Pacific Northwest. Talked about that jet stream starting to focus more on the Northwest versus California. Coming through Monday, bringing more substantial precipitation. Snowfall east of there in the Intermountain West, parts of Idaho, the Salmon River Mountains, Cascades certainly getting more snowfall out of these multiple systems. And then that potentially focusing on the whole region more as a whole. When we talk about snowfall across the Intermountain West, continuing shots of rainfall in the Willamette Valley all the way out now. We're talking Wednesday, January 10th. I'll stop it here because that makes it a 7-day forecast. We've got to zoom up quickly that 7-day forecast. A lot of activity really on the Pacific Northwest. Not a ton to talk about across California. We had that system come through Saturday in the forecast. Maybe light showers in the Central Valley, a nice shot of snowfall for the Sierra Nevadas, but much of the activity kind of focused on the Pacific Northwest. If we were to just sum that up from the same ECMWF model, 7-day precipitation anomalies for this time of year. Finally, we've kind of flipped the map. We talked about California getting a lot of the rainfall recently, at least coastal or parts of the Central Valley, but now we have the Willamette Valley, the Cascades, even extending east over into Idaho, eastern Oregon, eastern Washington, parts of Nevada, northeast Arizona, this area getting more of the rainfall and the snowfall versus California here. If I just show you the last 14-day precipitation anomalies, it's kind of a flip-flop of that, right? The Pacific Northwest, despite getting some of these systems, was below average over the last 14 days. Coastal California, parts of the Central Valley, above average. And if I take you right back to that 7-day precip anomaly, we've kind of flip-flopped that with the jet stream more focused on the Northwest U.S. here. Did want to talk about the snow here. This is something we've talked about in terms of deficits kind of really across the western U.S. Cascades looking at multiple additional feet of snow in the 7-day forecast here from the National Blended Models forecast out through Wednesday, January 10th of next week. Additional snowfall here getting into the Intermountain West, parts of the Colorado River Basin. And the Sierra Nevada is looking at a foot or more of snow, likely much of that coming out of that system we talked about on Saturday into Sunday. Again, that's if we jump back to that Sierra Snow Lab climatology, it's just going to be like this little dip there, but getting us a little bit closer toward average. I don't think that's bad news in terms of the Sierra Nevada snowpack. The nice thing here is it looks to be across the entire mountain range here from the northern Sierras through the central and then the southern Sierras as well. If we just look at the total precipitation forecast, this from the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center, their precipitation forecast. Much of that, again, focused on the northwest, looking at anywhere from 2, maybe 3 inches in parts of the Willamette Valley. Of course, some of these higher values here, 4 inches plus, is going to be in the form of snowfall in the Cascades. That's an easy way to get multiple feet of snow when you turn that precipitation into snowfall, with additional amounts getting into the Intermountain West as well. In terms of that Saturday precipitation across California, see just light amounts, really nothing too measurable across the Central Valley, perhaps enough to be called rainfall, potentially some more along some of these coastal regions, but not as much as some of these more potent systems that we've had over the last few weeks. And they don't want to exclude Southern California, or at least far Southern California, parts of the lower Colorado River Valley, which could see some more measurable precipitation Saturday night into Sunday morning as that system kind of crawls down the coastline there and gets into the country. As that system comes through, as we talked about that one Saturday and Sunday, that's going to bring some colder air through. We talked about the kind of northwest to southeast trajectory. It tends to bring a more cooler system, lower snowfall levels. Well, we also get cooler air at the surface with that as well. The map we're looking at here, this is again from the European model, but it's an ensemble, so a number of different model runs kind of initiated with different initial conditions ever so slightly to give us a broader picture what we might be looking at in the forecast. Now, the reason we do that is to get an idea kind of more probabilistically rather than what we might call deterministically. We can get kind of a wider array of possibilities in the forecast. And I want to do that for Monday morning, because that's when I think we're going to see some more colder air in parts of the southern west region. And in areas I am kind of focused on more specifically in terms of that frost potential would be the San Joaquin Valley of California. And this product here, what we're looking at is the probability of temperatures below 32 degrees Fahrenheit occurring before Monday, and really kind of focused on Monday morning here across the San Joaquin Valley for temperatures to get below freezing. See the lower Colorado River Valley, parts of southeastern California, not really a concern here for some of this frost, but perhaps south central Arizona to kind of creep up the elevation here, extending toward the east and the northeast. And the reason for that being, we're looking at a big upper level trough here. I'll take this forecast. This is the 500 millibar height anomalies. I'll make this valid here as of today going into tomorrow. There's that low pressure system in the upper level trough associated with here, kind of positioned across the southwestern U.S. But for some of these kind of cold systems, talking about frost, freeze warnings, we typically look at more significant kind of long wave troughs. This one a little bit shorter, some more kind of big blue bowling ball is what we're looking for on this map to prompt that kind of cooler, cold discussion. And that's something more we see here going into Monday. The much deeper trough here trying to push into parts of California and southern Arizona, so prompting some of those cold weather concerns. And if I take this forecast, we'll go all the way out kind of to 7 to 10 days here, really talking out into Thursday and Friday of next week. Potentially another shot of cold here coming into the west region, talking Idaho, Nevada, Utah, potentially all the way through Arizona, parts of the Central Valley of California, all the way out maybe January 11th, January 12th, the end of next work week. So a little bit concerned about some cold weather here through California and Arizona, talking about Monday morning, and then potentially at the end of that work week talking about another cold shot of air if this large long wave trough comes to fruition on the forecast here. Again, quite a ways out. Anytime you get past 7 to 8 days, certainly some uncertainty in the forecast, but it's something we're keeping an eye on. The Climate Prediction Center out of NOAA here, they're kind of in agreement for that January 9th to January 13th timeframe, getting out into the end of the next work week for below average temperatures, not only across much of the west region, but certainly for parts of Southern California, Nevada, and Arizona here. So this is an area, including the San Joaquin Valley, I'll be watching for frost potential as we get into the end of the work week next week. If you look a little bit more focused here, this is from the National Blend Up Models, their temperature forecast. Just for Monday morning, it's not going to go all the way out into the end of the work week. But if you look at some of these forecast values for the San Joaquin Valley, 31, 27 degrees Fahrenheit, 33 degrees Fahrenheit, certainly in that range of frost and freeze concern. And then all the way up through the North Valley, or the Sacramento Valley here, 32 degrees, 31 degrees, 30 degrees. So this is really the concern kind of more Monday morning. Take the forecast out into Tuesday, perhaps some lingering frost here as well across some of the rural areas in the San Joaquin Valley. Lower Colorado River Valley, kind of still in that mid to upper 30s range. You'd have to get more further east into south central Arizona before we're talking about freeze there. So I think this area is going to avoid it here on Monday. We'll have to watch for another shot of that cold air coming through, perhaps Friday, maybe even Saturday as well. That's all I have for you all this evening. Thank you for watching.